Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Whatcom County Council meeting for April 4th, 2017. Could you please call the roll?
Barbara Brenner.
Here.
Red Brown. Barry Buchanan.
Here.
Todd Donovan.
Here.
Ken Mann.
Here.
Satpal Sidhu.
Here.
Carl Weimer.
And Mr. Weimer is excused. Could you please rise and join me in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, just a couple announcements. If you have your cell phone with you, please either turn it off or turn it to vibrate. And if you'll be handing out any paperwork during the public hearing or the open session, please make sure our staff gets a copy for their records. Thank you. We will move directly into our first public hearing. Audience members who signed up at the back of the room prior to the beginning of the meeting will be called first, and you'll be asked to form a line. And you'll be given 3 minutes to speak. The staff will keep track of your time. They'll tell you when you have 30 seconds left, and they'll tell you when your time is up. So our first public hearing is an ordinance regarding temporary installation of stop signs on Unique Road at Elder Road during construction of the Slater Road Jordan Creek Fish Passage project. Oh, there it is.
Nobody.
Did you have anything at all you want to say briefly? Nothing? Okay. So we have no one signed up. Is there anyone that would like to speak to us on this subject? We will open the public hearing. And seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. What's the wishes of the council?
I move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Barbara Brenner.
Yes.
Red Brown.
Yes.
Barry Buchanan.
Yes.
Todd Donovan.
Yes.
Ken Mann.
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu.
Yes.
That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Weimer excused. Next one is an ordinance regarding temporary installation of stop signs at the Oat Coals Swift Creek Temporary Bridge Crossing. And we will open the public hearing. Anyone like to speak to us about the Oat Coals Swift Creek Temporary Bridge Crossing? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing. What's the wishes of the council?
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Red Brown.
Yes.
Barry Buchanan.
Yes.
Todd Donovan.
Yes.
Ken Mann.
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu.
Yes.
Barbara Brenner.
Yes.
That passes 6-0 with Mr. Weimer excused. Third public hearing is an ordinance amending Whatcom County Code, Chapter 12.60, Road Naming System. I will open the public hearing. And again, we have no one signed up. Anyone like to speak to this issue? Looks like Joe would like to speak to this issue.
Joe Rutan with Public Works. I will make one comment here. You may remember we were in front of you in May of last year with this ordinance, and I apologize. We made the changes that you approved on the wrong existing ordinance. It was an outdated one. So this is simply taking the changes that you approved last May and applying them to the correct ordinance. I apologize.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, seeing no one wanting to speak, we'll close the public hearing and turn it back to council.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Just that we already did this.
Okay. Seeing no discussion, please call the roll.
Barry Buchanan.
Yes.
Todd Donovan.
Yes.
Ken Mann.
Yes.
Satpal Sidhu.
Yes.
Barbara Brenner.
Yes.
Red Brown.
Yes.
That passes 6-0 with Mr. Weimer excused. We'll now move into our open session. During the open session, members of the public will have up to 3 minutes to speak, and you can address any issue relevant to county business. And again, you'll have 3 minutes, and the clerk will advise you of when you have 30 seconds left. So go ahead. We'll open the public session.
Max Perry, Whatcom County. I just sitting here this afternoon watching you folks work on that Lahar business on it. And I just ask you to take the time to see there's a real difference on where the Lahar would go, if Baker does erupt, where does it go? I was raised in Castle Rock and down in Lewis County at the time of, and we were up here at the time of 80 when St. Helens erupted. And it was devastating. It was tough. It was hard. Some people lost their lives. A lot of people that lost their lives were people up there looking and seeing, like the 3 people on the bridge that he mentioned, that then the bridge gets overrun. And there was people parked on the opposite hillsides, camped over there overnight, just because it was warned that the mountain was imminent to erupt, and people still would camp out there, and a lot of those folks lost their lives. And there was one fellow that came out through that. There was just mountains of dust. It came as far north as Chehalis and thickness, and it, believe it or not, it was my dad had some stand of timber, and the dust, the ash from it turned into like a fertilizer and just really promoted the growth on it. It was devastating to that country down there at St. Helens, and I worked as a young guy out of school at Camp Baker, Warehouser up there, which is just down the road, and it was devastated. They had off-road logging trucks with 12-foot bunks, great big trucks, and they were thrown around just like kids would throw around your Tinker Toys or small cars. But the animals were devastated at that time. It was just timber was just blown over, laid low. But in about 3 years, all the deer, all the elk came back. The ash actually produced more growth on the area.
30 seconds, please.
So anyway, just take your time and see what the Lahar is, where the Lahar would go, because there's real difference in opinions on the 2 folks that testified. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good evening. My name is Riley Sweeney. I'm the Communications Director for the City of Ferndale, or as I like to put it, the second most infamous person to hold that position. And I'm here to talk a little bit about Ferndale Parks and Rec. So, some of you may remember I came to this chamber last year and asked for your help in constructing Star Park. It was a playground designed by Ferndale school children and built entirely by volunteers. And you guys heard me. I want to thank Councilmember Brown for coming out. We had over 2,000 volunteers involving 300 organizations show up for the Star Park build, making it the largest volunteer event in Ferndale history and, I believe, in Whatcom County history, although Ski2C refuses to get back to me on that point. This year, we're building on that success. So, very colorful handouts.
Thank you, Riley.
So, what's the point of having parks without some rec to keep you busy? So, we're doing a slew of recreational activities in Ferndale Parks this year, including glow-in-the-dark croquet this week, Thursday and Friday. Well, we take the balls of croquet, wrap them in glow-in-the-dark paint and tape, and give everyone glow sticks. Fun for the whole family. Bird watching at the Nooksack. We're going to have Rabbit Wild is going to be playing at Music in the Park. We're going to have storytellers in the park for the wee ones. And my personal favorite, the citywide treasure hunt. Hashtag Ferndale Treasure. So, I just wanted to kind of let you know what we're doing up here. You guys have a fantastic Parks and Rec department with the county, but it doesn't hurt to remind you guys what other organizations are doing, and just wanted to extend an invitation, municipality to municipality, come out and play.
Thank you, Riley.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just before you go, First of all, I really love that project you did, and I really love the involvement of the citizens. I think it really got ownership. I'd actually like to suggest you promote this north of the border as well.
That's a very good idea. Thank you.
Dan McShane, 1451 Grant Street. I'm back, so.
Handouts.
We can pass them down. Here. Dan, come on.
2 minutes.
I got two. No, I didn't.
This is just a little bit of a follow-up from today, because I came away a little unsatisfied with maybe a couple things, but, and I'm not wanting to pick on Barbara Brenner on this at all.
Sure you do.
The first one, 1616 320B, you know, I have no idea where you're proceeding with that, but I just want to make sure, because that does address way beyond Lahar's, lots of other issues. And then E as well. But then the subdivision section for standards, the suggestion was to take out the Lahar hazard area. And this is where I say, I'm not picking on you, Barbara. Just thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of take it, use that as a potential example of doing the risk analysis that I talked about today, using that chart, basically forcing you to contemplate how an action could impact the number of lives or number of people. It doesn't have to be lives. It could be cost as well on that bottom part. And so I just took a quick, really rough, let's say a 1 in 5,000 of probability for a Lahar going down the Middle Fork Valley and reaching Nugent's Corner, which geologically has happened, actually twice, not just once. They probably happened in close proximity to each other. And if you change the zoning rules, and I just took the census data for the area and then looked at a rough map and said, how many lots could be created? This might not even be true, but that'd be something that could be verified through planning. How many more lots would be created? If you assumed half of the people were killed by a Lahar and then doubled the population, you could go from 200 fatalities up to 400 fatalities by taking that one action for that one area. Now, do note, there might be a warning. Volcanic activity occurring, so a warning takes place. If you have a warning, then the total that would be killed, current population, or even future population, is going to be way, way less.
30
I can
seconds,
debate
please.
that. However, you're going to have to evacuate a lot of people and take care of them for a long period of time. So there's a fiscal impact to this decision that affects taxpayers pretty significantly. And then just the last page, I want to emphasize again, Lahars do happen. Big debris flows come off volcanoes without any volcanic activity. I mentioned one in Colombia. There have been multiple ones in Colombia. There's also another Colombia, British Columbia, very nearby, volcano in the Cascade Range. There's a couple pictures of it. That volcano has had no action since, I think it's about 1 million years. It's still had a Lahar. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Never mind.
Sorry, I didn't mean to come up again, but I had to follow that one. Too much of government is run by emotion instead of principle. So I plead with you to govern with principle and not emotion, and I really thought the pictures of the bodies was out of place. I think you need to to keep your heads on when you make these decisions. Thank you.
Carol, can you state your name for the record, please?
Carol Perry, Whatcom County.
Anyone else like to speak during our open session? Seeing no one, we will close the open session and turn it over to Finance.
Mr. Chair, the Whatcom County Finance and Administrative Services Committee met today, and we considered 6 items on our consent agenda. These all received approval, and I so move.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Any
Did we
discussion?
second? Do you need a second?
You haven't already done that?
I don't know. Did anyone second it?
Actually, if it's come out of committee, it doesn't need a second.
Oh, I think we should just go back to the way we used to do it without a second.
Gee, I knew that was coming.
Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, the next item was a resolution updating the appendix of the 2015 Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. I would ask that we split this into two parts. And by the way, what we are voting on is the substitute version, this one, which has one addition that we discussed and voted on in county. I believe that's correct. Yep, it's got the other addition now. Yep. So I'd like to ask that we vote on this with the exception of the item on, I think it's page 4.
Page 4?
No, it's page 5. I'd ask that we take out the West Horton Road project. Yep.
To vote on it second.
Yep.
Okay?
The motion is to vote on everything except the West Horton Road project.
Okay, I have a point of, I don't know what, correction? To correct from our, last time we dealt with this report, which was back in April of 2016. I just happen to remember today that we had a motion, and I seem to remember that it was approved, to change the location of the jail and the sheriff's office from LaBounty Road to Whatcom County. And Jill dug up the minutes, and sure enough,
Who made that motion?
this is on page PL1 of your project list. And Councilmember Donovan referenced the new jail project and the new sheriff's office project and moved to amend the location from LaBounty Road to Whatcom County. The motion was seconded. After some discussion, the motion carried by 6-1.
I voted
Mr. Chair,
against.
I'm going to withdraw my motion to let you dispose of yours first.
Well, is this an amendment? But this is what it should have looked like when we got it today, so.
I think that the administration can just correct that. I don't think it needs to be a new motion.
Doesn't need to be a motion. Okay, then I'll
All right.
go back to your motion.
So then my motion's on the floor.
Okay. Any discussion on Mr. Brown's motion? Yes, Ms. Brenner.
Which is the one on, what was it, page 4 or 5? Which one did you want removed?
West Horton Road, it's on the top of,
Top of page what?
Page 4.
Railroad relocation?
top of page 5. And just to explain, I have property on West Horton Road, and I do not believe it's appropriate for me to be voting on this particular item.
Any more discussion on the motion? Mr. Mann?
I just want to credit your memory for remembering that detail about LaBounty Road, and I think that's actually a very important detail, and I'm sure Tyler and the administration will remember to correct that, but those are the kind of things that slip through, and there are errors that are made, and then we look back in 10 years and someone says, look, it says it has to be on LaBounty Road on every SEDS list from now since 2000. So anyway, just good on you for remembering that.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Steel trap. Okay, so any more discussion on the motion? Yes, ma'am.
On the SEDS thing, I'm going to vote against it because I had a whole bunch of questions about why we're doing certain things and that it didn't seem appropriate, and nobody had any answers. And in fact, I was told, don't worry about it, it's a wish list. So I'm worried about it, and I don't do wish lists.
Okay. Any more discussion on the motion?
I just don't want to waste everybody's time about what I said in committee.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, seeing no further discussion, I'm a little confused. We have a roll call for a resolution?
Must have been put on your sheet by mistake.
So it's a voice vote.
Little mistake.
So all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
That carries 5-1 with Councilmember Weimer excused.
And Brenner opposed.
And Mr. Chair, the next item was to add the West Horton item on the list. This received a vote of 2 with 1 abstention, and I so move.
Okay, discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstain.
So that passes 4-1 to one abstention, and Mr. Weimer excused.
Mr. Chair, there was anything else from finance?
Okay, we're now at executive appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Request confirmation of the county executive's reappointment of Dave Buys to the Whatcom County Agricultural Advisory Committee.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for confirmation. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 6-0. Mr. Weimer excused. The next item is to request confirmation of the county executive's appointment of Lorraine Dennis to the Bellingham Whatcom County Commission Against Domestic Violence.
Move to confirm.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 6-0 with Mr. Weimer excused. We have 8 items for introduction. Do I have a motion to introduce?
I move to introduce.
Okay,
Second.
discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 6-0 with Mr. Weimer excused. Okay, any other council business from anyone?
I'd just like to observe how fast the meetings go without Carl here.
Yeah, let's blame it on Carl.
There you go. Wonderful.
That's fine.
Everybody sent him a little
I
nice
second
note
that.
tonight. So.
Do us a favor, make sure that's reflected in the minutes.
Okay, so no new business. Do we have any, it's not on my sheet tonight for some reason. Not
Stuff from
member-
council
let's go
members,
before
stuff.
Council member updates. Committee reports.
Committee report.
Yes.
Oh, committee reports.
We had,
Oh.
Ms. Brenner, you had a,
We had two presentations on Lahars today. So we pretty much, I don't think we're ever going to be done with this discussion, unfortunately, but I hope we are. But they were interesting. Both presentations were very interesting.
and then, Mr. Brown, you chaired the planning committee today?
And,
Presentation from Planning Department.
oh yes, we got a report from the planning department, and I don't have it with me, but there is a report available online for those citizens who are interested to understand what the planning department's been doing and what their objectives are for 2017.
Okay. Any other committee, no other committee reports, any council member updates?
Nothing to
there?
report.
Yes,
Nothing, nothing?
nothing.
Just because I went to the 61st Annual Whatcom County Dairy Ambassador Coronation and Luncheon, and I think I go every year, and it was, as usual, it was really a lot of fun, and the people who have been, the ones who were nominated and elected, as usual, are just amazing representatives from Whatcom County. And the chocolate milk was to die for. I mean, really, I'm not a big milk drinker, but that was really good. It was just a lot of fun, so I hope people go next year.
And you're not easily impressed with chocolate. So.
No, I'm a hard sell on
Was
chocolate.
it a chocolate fountain or?
No, it was in these bottles, and it was icy cold, and it was delicious. Oof.
As an update, Councilmember Buchanan and I did what may be our second to last jail stakeholder task force meeting, and I think there's a sense the jurisdictions have kind of agreed or really close to a finance model, but us as a body, we as a body, have to talk about the size location issues, what the potential plan, but we came at it, I think, feeling like a lot of progress was made, and thanks to staff.
Well, you two would be good, because you're both
working on
really
that.
nice.
And then and a shout out for we had a joint meeting with the city council and the Whatcom Sewer District about the health of Lake Whatcom, and I came away from that thinking, like, we still got a long way to go. I'm not sure if I was optimistic about the results of that, in terms of the trends in water quality and what we're actually doing policy-wise to arrest those downward trends, but that we were all doing that this week, so.
No, nothing to report.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Wow.
7:20.
Did he?